Hi boys and girls, welcome back to our video lessons. So what I need you to do is take out that one piece of paper that we folded that says chapter notes on the front, and I need you to flip it over to the back of it. So do you see where it says least common multiple on the back side of the paper? That's where you should be. Today we're going to talk about least common multiple. First of all, let's talk about what we mean by multiples. So when I'm talking about multiples, a multiple is the product of two whole numbers. So for example, 3 times 5 is 15. So 15 is a multiple of both 3 and 5. The least common multiple is going to be the least whole number greater than 0 that is a multiple of two numbers. So when I talk about multiples, we can think about, we had our factor ninja that chopped things up. Well, we are going to have a multiple monster. It is going to make numbers bigger. So when I have the multiples of 2, I'm going to have things like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So multiples are going to be when I multiply to make my number into a bigger one. So what we can do with this information is we can now figure out two methods on how to find the least common multiple, which again is going to be the smallest multiple that goes into both of them. So on your paper it says number 1, list the multiples. So one way of finding the least common multiple is to literally write out all the multiples up to, not all of them obviously because it'll keep going forever, but to write out a bunch of the multiples and then look at two numbers and see, well, what's the smallest one they have in common? Again, this time we're looking for the smallest one they have in common, not the largest one. So when I look at 5, I need to think about, well, what are the multiples of 5? Well, 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25. Let's write these down on your paper with me. I should have said that in the start. Sorry. So take a minute. Let's write down the multiples of 5. So write down 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. After 25 would be 30, 35, and I'm out of room, so I'm going to stop here with 40. So again, those are the multiples of 5. I'm making the number bigger. If I looked along a multiplication chart, they'd be all the numbers on my multiplication chart. Let's now think about my multiples of 7. Write these down with me this time. So if I have 7, 7 times 1 is 7, so that's always going to be my first multiple. My second multiple is 7 times 2. 7 times 2 is 14. So let's jot that one down. 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times 4 is 28. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 6 is 42. After 42 comes 49. And then 56. Again, let's stop there because I'm out of room on my board. So right now you should have all these numbers written down under number 1, list the multiples. So now I need to look at my multiples. I need to figure out, well, what are some ones that they have in common? Well, 5 and 7 actually don't have a lot of numbers in common. When I look at all of these, 35 is the only one I have written on my screen that they have in common. If I had kept this going longer, they would have more in common, but this is all I could fit on my board. So I want to know, what is the least or the smallest one that they have in common? Well, the smallest number that they have in common is 35, so your LCM, which is least common multiple, would equal 35. So that would be one method. Now, listing the multiples worked really well with these numbers because these were small numbers that we knew our multiplication times tables for. However, sometimes my numbers are going to be really large, so we need another method. So on your paper, you should see method 2. Oh, I don't know why it says method 3. That should say method 2. So method 2 is upside down double division, or the ladder method. You should be thinking, wait, we already learned this when we did greatest common factor. Well, we did, but now we're going to be doing it a little bit differently. There's going to be one change. So the steps are written down for you already. When I want to find the least common multiple of 12 and 30. So I'm going to write down 12 and 30. Write this down under examples. And I'm going to put an upside down double division box around there. Just like before, I need to find a number that goes into both numbers. So what can go into both 12 and 30? Well, they're both even, so I'm going to take a 2 out of both of them. 2 can go into 12 6 times. 2 can go into 30 15 times. When I look at 6 and 15, you might be thinking, nope, nothing that can go into those. However, I can't always just rely on them both being even. Let's think about what we know about 6 and what we know about 15. I know that they share a factor of 3, so I'm going to put 3 outside the house. 3 can go into 6 2 times. 3 can go into 15 5 times. So this would be what my chart looks like. Now, 2 and 5 do not share a common factor besides 1. So normally what I would do for my GCF is do 2 times 3 equals 6. That doesn't really make sense for my multiples though, because remember, my multiples are numbers that I multiply and I have to make them bigger. So I don't think my answer would be 6, which is smaller than either of the numbers I started with. So what I'm going to do here, let's look at what the last step says. It says multiply the numbers on the side and the bottom. They're going to form an L shape. So what you're going to do is you're going to do the ones on the side and the ones on the bottom. Do you see how it makes an L? Because what are we finding? We're finding the least common multiple, the LCM. So I would do 2 times 3, just like before, but now I'm going to multiply that by 2 and by 5. So 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 times 5 equals 60. You could have multiplied those four numbers in any order, remember. So our LCM would be 60. Is that a number at least as big as numbers I started with? Yes, it's bigger than them, so I know I probably did that right. Let's try one more example on the bottom of your paper. I want you guys to write down 28 and 36. Now, I want you to do the upside down double division, because listing the multiples, I don't know about you, but I don't really have the multiples of 28 or 36 memorized. So what I want you guys to do tonight is I want you guys to finish up this problem and show me the answer tomorrow in class. So do it right at the bottom of that back of the white paper on the back of your notes packet. So tomorrow when you come to class, I'm expecting to see you trying to figure out the LCM of both 28 and 36. Good luck.